What's up, guys? It's the Happy Critic. Today we're going to be talking about a movie I've been really looking forward to watching, and that movie is Boy Kills World. This film was directed by Moritz Moore in his feature directorial debut. Alright, but did it exceed my expectations or did it disappoint me? Well, let's talk about it. If you hear anything, it's my cats just running around like psychos. So this movie follows a character just referred to as Boy, played by Bill Skarsgard. So Boy is seeking revenge on the family, the Vanderkoys, who killed his family when he was a young boy.
The day the Vanderkoys killed my family and left me deaf and mute.
So Boy has been training with this shaman guy since he was a little kid in hopes that one day he'll be able to confront this family and get his revenge, like killing all of them.
Mission is simple. Make the Vanderkoys pay for what they have done.
So the thing I was looking forward to the most about this movie was actually Bill Skarsgard being the main character, because I've loved Bill Skarsgard for a while now, and I've just been waiting for him to star in his own movie and be the main character. And I know that he's going to be playing in a movie, he's going to be playing the lead role in The Crow, and even though I do love him, and I don't want to get off track, but I don't know about that. I don't really feel like Bill Skarsgard fits the character of The Crow, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm gonna watch it. So the best thing about this movie is Bill Skarsgard playing the main character of Boy. He is the heart, he is the center. He is funny. You don't actually ever hear him speak because he can't, he's mute. So you only ever hear his inner dialogue or his inner monologue.
Player one wins.
So that leaves Bill Skarsgard with having to really sell his character without being able to talk. And even though we can hear his inner monologue, it really has to be able to match up with Bill Skarsgard's face and how he feels. Like, he needs to be able to really emote and show the audience how this character is feeling. And he does amazing with this. He's really good at selling this. There was never a point where I was like, how does he feel right now? Is he upset? Like, what's going on? Like, I knew exactly how I felt the entire time. He does such a good job at making you really root for him. He's got this like vulnerability to him. Even though he's 6'4", he's like a big guy, you really feel for him. You really want to see him enact revenge on this family that really ruined his whole entire life. And him and his inner dialogue, they work cohesively together. You do believe that is his inner monologue. Alright, but let's talk about the action and the fights in this movie. They're actually pretty great. I mean, that was one thing I really wanted to see. I love movies like this where you're in this kind of just depressing dystopian future where everything sucks and you have this one good guy that is just such an underdog. Everything's stacked against them, but they're able to just fight their way through. And I love movies like that. Yeah, there's a lot of killing in this movie, and it's done in a funny way and outrageous ways and creative ways and brutal ways in some cases. Like at one point, Bill Skarsgård starts killing people or fighting with a cheese grater. Oh gosh, it's pretty cool. So it's awesome, but I still was just like, oh my gosh, like no thanks. There was one scene, and it kind of reminded me of the scene in Monty Python and the Holy Grail with the knight who loses all his limbs. In that scene, there's this antagonist that Boy is fighting. Even though this guy is being kind of chopped up or whatever, he's using some kind of drug, and it's causing him to be able to keep going, even though he probably should be dead or at least on the ground, almost dead. But that's the only time you really ever see that idea or that drug being used. And there's so many other times where it's like, why wouldn't you guys utilize that? And why would you bring it up if it's never going to be used again? But that brings me to another problem, actually. For me, even though I did like this movie, the biggest problem this movie had was the movie gives me so much stuff that I really like. The characters, the story, the world, but it doesn't give me enough of it. It only gives me little glimpses of it. It's like if somebody gives you like a tiny little appetizer to try, and you take a little bite and you're like, wow, that's really good. Can I have some more? And they're like, no, that's all you can have. And you're like, I barely even got a full flavor in my mouth. And they're like, well, you know, you can't. It's just That's it. You can't have any more. And that's what it felt like. It was like they were giving me stuff I really liked, and I was like, yeah, let's get more into this. They were like, nope, I'll give you a little bit of what you like, but that's it. That's all. You just get a teeny tiny little taste of it, and that's it. I wanted to dive more into the characters. Other than Boy, I wanted him and his teammates, the teammates that they set up, who are acted by great actors, are great characters. They could be great characters, but like I said, they just gave me a teeny tiny little taste of it, and that was it. I wanted more. The way that the bad guys are set up, there's some interesting dynamics because this corrupt family, they're family, okay? And so there's some interesting dynamics between all of them, and I wanted to see that more. They were setting up something, but I wanted more. You're giving me something that I like, but then you're just like taking it away from me before I can actually fully enjoy it. And I feel like that's kind of how this movie was in some regards. And this idea does not apply to the main character, Boy. However, it applies to pretty much everything else. Bill Skarsgard does such a good job in the movie, and he's done really well, and I just loved him in the movie. He definitely carries the movie. It's still an enjoyable movie. I just wish some of the other characters were developed a little bit better. I wish the story was developed a little bit better so that there was more emotional impact. And to a degree there was. Like, you do care about Boy, but there's like a reveal and there are other things that happen that just don't feel as emotional as they should and as emotional as I wanted them to. Because like I said, I wanted to be attached to the people they wanted me to be attached to. I wanted to feel the emotional moments. Another example would be this world. So we're in some kind of dystopian future in this world, and there are the Vanderkoys, and they have something called the culling that happens like every year or something. And it's kind of like a Hunger Games type thing where all these people come in and they get murdered. So I love when movies will introduce a world that's different than ours, and it will show us like little glimpses of the world and how the world works, but it doesn't have to just spoon feed us everything. Get an idea of how the world works with the little glimpses of what you see. And it starts to paint a picture of like an iceberg where we're just seeing the tip, but you can tell by what's being introduced and just the way the world is created that there's way more going on. This movie feels like all we have is top part of the iceberg, but there's literally nothing underneath it. It never gave me the feeling like there was more going on under the surface, because it didn't immerse me enough into the world. And I really wanted it to. I really wanted to be more immersed into the world. And so like if they made like a sequel or something for this movie, I would definitely be on board and I'd want to watch it because I like what it's trying to do. I just wanted more of it. And I don't think it gave me enough to really attach myself to. I do want to mention another problem I kind of had. There is a moment in this movie. All right, so Bill Skarsgard's character, Boy, he lost his sister when he was like 10. So Boy, he has his inner monologue, and he also talks to his little sister. And I assumed that when he's talking to his little sister is representing his conscience. But I'm not sure if that's 100% true. I didn't look into it. I just kind of assumed that's what it was. And, he's an adult, but he sees his little sister like the last time he saw her, which would be when she was a little girl. And yeah, I think she's kind of his conscience. She could technically be something else, which I'm not going to get into because it would be a spoiler. But let me just finish my thought real fast. Okay, so this movie, obviously, it's like a brutal, action, over-the-top, violent movie. It's a revenge flick, and it's humorous and it's violent. Like there's this scene where the little girl, or his conscience, or whatever she's supposed to be, pops up and pretty much tells Boy, you don't need to keep doing this, like killing people. You don't need to keep killing people. I think she might even be alluding to the fact that he's just becoming like them or something. And I'm just gonna tell you, unless I don't understand what's going on in this, and the little girl represents something else, and what she is talking about when she's saying you don't have to do this represents something else, or she's talking about something else, because there's another thing I think it technically could be, but I don't think it is. I think she is trying to tell him like, hey, is this really what you want in life? You just want to seek revenge and kill people? This isn't right. And for one, it's like, okay, it's a weird thing to say in a movie like this, because I mean, that's what this movie is. It's glorifying all that kind of killing and everything. And two, it comes out of nowhere. Like, at no point was that really hinted at. And three, it doesn't make a difference. Boy doesn't ever come face to face with like a decision where he spares somebody because he's like, yes, you're right, I should not kill people. If that's what they wanted to do, if they wanted to have some moral about like, hey, don't seek revenge, you know, because that's just you're just gonna become just like them or whatnot, they can do that, but it needed to be set up a little bit earlier because this feels like they were in the middle of filming and somebody was like, hey, let's have a moral stance about how killing people is wrong. And they're like, great, that's a great thing to do in a movie that is about revenge killings, where we kill people with a cheese grater and make it hilarious. It just seems like the wrong movie to try to grandstand in about that. It's so weird. It'd be like if you're watching Kill Bill and somebody like stopped the movie and was like, hey, Uma Thurman, maybe you should stop killing people because it's not the right thing to do. And she was like, no. And they were like, okay. And then that was it. Because like I said, nothing comes from it. It doesn't make a difference. It literally makes absolutely zero difference what happens going forward. Like I said, I could be wrong. This representation, what the little girl is saying, could be something else. But I don't think it is. But moving on. Daisy, get down. Okay, so I just want to mention one other thing. So Bill Skarsgard, I think he's about 6'4". He's a really tall guy. And in the movie, he has a few fights in the training montage of him and this shaman guy. And when I was watching it, I remember thinking, I was like, this looks really awkward because Bill Skarsgard towers over this actor who's 5'2". And so like there were a few scenes and it looked so funny because Bill Skarsgard was all like slumped over like this, and there's a few scenes where you see Bill Skarsgard like has his hands on him like they're like wrestling, and his hands are ginormous, especially when they're on this guy. It looks like Bill Skarsgard could pick this man up by the head like a basketball. I'm not saying that the scenes were bad, but you definitely can tell the height difference and the size difference between the two of them, and it looks a little weird because the shaman is kicking his butt, you know, and you're like, all right, I mean, I guess I believe it a little bit, but other than that, the fighting and the action, what you saw in the trailers, if that's what you were looking forward to, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I think the fighting and everything is great. Personally, I think that it could have been better, but not because of like choreography or anything like that, but if they would have set up these fights to have a little more emotional impact, which goes back to more of like the characters and the development and stuff like that. Because like I said, it's not like this movie it's not like it doesn't have any of this emotional impact. It's there, but they don't build on it or make it more enriching, I guess. I just wanted more. I guess I'm just a very hard person to please, apparently. Oh, another plus, if you're worried about this in any way, shape, or form, the movie is not trying to push any kind of dumb agenda or any agenda at all. There's no virtue signaling in this movie, and it's just an entertaining movie. Because after all of my complaints that I just sit there and complain about, the movie is still just really entertaining. And what makes it entertaining is obviously the action scenes and Bill Skarsgård as the main character boy, who really carries the whole film. Do I wish that we dove more into this world and these characters? Yeah, I do. But what I did get, I did enjoy myself. And I would still recommend this movie. But that's all I really have for today, you guys. Please let me know what you thought about this movie. Please like and subscribe if you would like to help support my channel. Just keep watching movies, guys, and keep being happy. And I will talk to you later. Bye-bye. Oh my gosh, you guys really have to be on the table. Both my cats are on the table. All right, get off. Go on. Choo! Choo! Get out of here. Gosh, they're so annoying. Can you guys stop for 3 seconds?